Jaden Ivey had one of his best games of the year in a Pistons win versus the Brooklyn Nets in Brooklyn. Can't wait to talk about what we saw from Jaden Ivey in this game in today's episode of the Locked On Pistons podcast.
You are Locked On Pistons, your daily Detroit Pistons podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's the deal? Welcome back to another episode of the Locked On Pistons podcast. Per usual, I'm your host, Kuka Hill. You can find me over on Twitter at Kuka Hill. I want to thank you guys for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We are free and available on all your podcast platforms. If you haven't already, head to the YouTube channel at Locked On Pistons. Hit that subscribe button or leave us a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you are listening to this on. And today's episode is brought to you by LinkedIn. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster and easier. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA. What a bounce back, man. What a bounce back by the Detroit Pistons against the Brooklyn Nets in Brooklyn. The last two games were not kind to the Pistons. They had the Paris game, and then they had that just absolute blowout against the Bucks. But they came out in this game against the Brooklyn Nets and played really well, top to bottom. Every player that played had a major contribution to this victory. But the player I want to focus on early on in this podcast is by far Jaden Ivey. Now, you look at Jaden Ivey's box score, and you may come away like, oh, he just wasn't that efficient. He was 5 of 12 from the field, 1 of 4 from deep. Why? If you didn't watch the game, you're probably asking, what is it about Jaden Ivey's game that was so good to you? Why are you calling it in the cold open? Why are you calling it one of the best games you saw from him this year? Well, let me tell you why. In the first quarter, and a lot of it, I'm not going to lie, a lot of it did come in the first quarter, but even it was sprinkled in a little bit throughout the rest of the game too. But in the first quarter, obviously, he started off scoring the Pistons' first 12 points of the game. So obviously, that's just crazy. I thought he was going to go off for 40. I thought we were about to see like a 30, 40-point game from Jaden Ivey. He only ended up with 16. I jinxed him. I apologize, everybody, because I did tweet out and say 40-point game coming for Jaden Ivey, and then he scored 4 points after that. So I jinxed him. My fault. I should have known better. We already know about the coup curse. But forget the scoring for a second. Forget the scoring. He ended the game with 8 assists. And I'm going to do a breakdown on these passes that he made. But this was by far, without a doubt, the most impressed I've been with his passing, and not just his pass, not just the action of passing the ball, but how he ran the offense, the pace that he played with, the reads he was making, how he was leveraging his driving and his gravity to open up looks for Jalen Duren, who was the recipient of a lot of his passes. This was by far his best game of the year, in my opinion, as a dude running the offense and trying to play with pace. Now, some of you guys will bring up this past game against the Bucks because he had 11 assists, but I'm not counting that game. That game was a blowout. Nothing happened in that game that we should really be happy about. So I'm not counting that game. And the Bucks stopped trying basically after. I'm not counting that game at all. But in this game, it was amazing. And there was so many plays. And by the way, the starting lineup, the reason why he was able to play, I almost forgot to mention this. The reason why he was able to do this was because in the starting lineup, it was Killian Hayes' first game back from his, I believe it was a shoulder soreness he was dealing with last game. They brought him off the bench in this game. Now, I don't know if that's something they're going to continue to do moving forward. If you want me to be honest, I doubt it. I think this is the same thing they did with Jalen Duren. His first game back, they bring him off the bench, and then he goes back in the starting lineup. I think that's what they were doing here with Killian Hayes. But nonetheless, in this game, Jaden Ivey was the starting guard, and he was basically the only one in the starting lineup that was going to be creating offense for everybody. And heading into it, I was a little worried about it, but he played absolutely extraordinary. He played very, very well. I don't care if he shot 5 of 12 from the field. I don't care that he shot 1 of 4 from deep. I thought he played the best under-controlled game as a point guard that I've seen him probably this year. Multiple passes, getting Jalen Duren wide open dunks underneath the rim. There was a few passes too, and there was one in the third quarter that I really want to highlight here that just shows that, look, the first quarter showed that what his maturation so far throughout the year. And then the second quarter and on, it started to show that he's a rookie. He still has a lot to learn. But a lot of what he did in that first quarter and this pass I'm about to talk about in the third quarter just shows that with more experience and as he continues to develop and see more defenses and get accustomed to playing NBA game, all that kind of stuff, this dude's going to be tough as hell. He's going to be tough as hell. But in the third quarter, he had this pass that he made. He was driving down the middle of the floor in the half court. He beat his guy, and Nicholas Claxton was rotating over from the help side. He was going to contest Nicholas Claxton at the rim. Now, as he went up at the rim, out of nowhere, Alec Burks' defender, who was sitting on the left wing, came just sprinting down from the left wing and was 100% going to just smash Ivey's layup off the backboard. 100% was about to just send it off the backboard. I saw it coming 100 miles away. Jaden Ivey can't see him. He's focusing on the basket. This dude's coming out of nowhere behind him. He shouldn't be able to see him. But because of how athletic Ivey is, his hang time, and the way he was playing within this game, looking for the right shot instead of forcing a shot, somehow, some way, with three guys on him, and one of the guys coming from behind, soaring in, he was able to hang in the air enough to pump fake, turn around, look, see the guy coming in from behind him, and whip a pass to Alec Burks at the left wing. Now, they didn't end up making the shot, but that was such an insane and tough pass for anybody, let alone a rookie, but anyone to make. It was crazy. It was a wild pass that he had made on that possession. Crazy stuff. And that's something that not a lot of players will be simply able to do. His athleticism will allow him to make plays like that other players just can't make, especially when he's in this mindset of, yeah, I can score, I can get to the basket, I can finish whenever I want, I can do all that kind of stuff too. But as a point guard, I have to know when to pick my spots and when to find my teammates, when to look for my teammates, and when to look for my own. I thought for the majority of the night in this game, he did an amazing job balancing both. I can't say anything more positive about what we saw from Jaden Ivey offensively. It was the most impressed I've been with him all year. And again, he didn't have the most efficient night, but I don't care. You saw his development and his growth as a point guard, as an NBA player playing with pace and picking his spots. It was amazing. I can't say enough about it, man. Can't say enough about it. And also, him and Jalen Duren have like this. It's crazy that they both have this crazy chemistry with each other, but they do already. They love playing with each other. Jalen Duren's like the only guy on the team that, like, other players will cut to the rim, but Jalen Duren seems to be like the only player who's like on the exact same wavelength with Ivey and knows how to time his drives up with cuts to the basket, knows how to make himself open at the right times on Jaden Ivey's drives. Everyone else, you'll see Stu stumble or fumble a pass or not be in the right spot, and you'll see Ivey and Stu go at each other. We've seen it happen a few times this year already. But Duren, it just seems like he always knows where Ivey wants him to be, where he needs to make himself open, and Ivey's always looking for him. And I swear, at least like 5 or 6 of these assists, I'm assuming. I haven't looked at it, but I'm going to take a guess like 5 or 6 of these assists were to Jalen Duren. And I can't speak enough about the chemistry those two guys have. But again, man, this was just, I loved what I saw from Jaden Ivey tonight. Absolutely loved it. And he got the chance. He got the chance to do this. He was the only point guard on the floor for the majority of the night. I know Killian Hayes closed with them because Killian Hayes had himself a game too. We'll talk about that later too. But yeah, man, for someone to be a rookie that has struggled being a lead guard, for him to come out in this game on the road after what happened in Milwaukee to play this well of a game as a point guard, I can't say enough about it. I loved it. I absolutely loved what I saw from him. He played smart. He played with pace. He picked his spots. He found his teammates. He was looking for his teammates. And you can see his vision getting better too. There's a few turnovers he had where he saw an open pass. If you're going to make those tight window passes, you have to be 100% accurate, and he wasn't 100% accurate. But you see his vision getting better because he's seeing stuff like that. Now, once he gets better as a passer, those are going to be easier plays for him to make. But you're just seeing him grow, even when he turns the ball over, even when it doesn't result in an actual made shot for a teammate. You're seeing him grow as a passer, as a point guard, and as an NBA player right before your eyes. And I absolutely loved every bit of it tonight, despite the fact he only shot 5 of 12 from the field. I don't care. Fantastic game from Jaden Ivey tonight, man. Fantastic game. When we come back, I want to talk about some of the other players that played really well. The Pistons played 9 players, and 8 of them scored in double figures, complete team effort. So we can go anywhere to talk about, really. And we probably will do that. We'll probably bounce around a lot from different guys who are playing really good stretches of the season, who had a really good game in the second segment. So stay tuned for that. But first, I got to tell you guys about one of our sponsors, LinkedIn Jobs. As a small business owner or hiring manager, you know that success in 2023 all depends on the team members you surround yourself with. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. With LinkedIn Jobs, you can hire qualified candidates more efficiently by matching open roles with people who have the skills, values, and experiences to help you achieve your goals. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find quickly qualified candidates to your open jobs with targeting tools. They go beyond resume data by using insights from your job post, company, and their 875 million member profiles to put your post in front of the most qualified candidates available. Identify the most qualified candidates on LinkedIn Jobs and connect with them for fast and for free. For fast and for free. LinkedIn Jobs makes it easy to screen and rate applicants based on your job qualifications all on one platform. And what's a better way to start the new year of 2023 as a small business by finding the most perfect team member for your company, for your small business? It's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find qualified candidates you want to talk to faster and easier. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. So I want to thank you guys again for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We are free and available on all your podcast platforms. If you haven't already, head to the YouTube channel at Locked On Pistons, hit that subscribe button, or leave us a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you are listening to this on. That's another great way to support the podcast. Like I said earlier, man, there was 8 of the 9 players that the Pistons played scored in double figures. And I want to say this real quick before we dive into some of the other individual performances. I'm very happy that Dwayne Casey went with a 9-man rotation. I hope we see a 9-man rotation more often. I hope that's something we see really for the rest of the year. I don't think you need to be going 10 deep with this team. I think 9-man rotation is good. And even some nights, if you have to cut it down to 8-man rotation because someone's not playing well, I think that's okay to do. I feel like he's been a little bit hesitant to do that throughout the year and really throughout his time as the Pistons coach. But I think a 9-man rotation really is the right way to go. Because then if you go 10-man rotation, too often we see 5 bench players in, 5 stars out, 5 stars back in, 5 stars or 5 bench out. And it's just that stuff doesn't work. So I like the 9-man rotation. I just want to say that real quick. But there's so many different ways we can go with this game. There's a few guys I want to go out of my way to shout out, though, before we tune in on like specific stuff from this game. Hamidou Diallo is playing he's by far playing the best stretch of his career with the Detroit Pistons since being traded. Like his opening stretch when he was traded to the Pistons, he played extremely well. This stretch right here is the best stretch since then. And no, I'm not counting the COVID stretch because that's something that's never going to happen again. He's never going to be able to have the ball every single possession. He's never going to be able to get 30 shots up. He's never going to be able to get 20 mid-range. Like that's something that was a big anomaly, and it's just not possible for it to ever happen again. So I'm not going to use that stretch. In a realistic sense, in a realistic role with Hamidou Diallo, this is the best he's played since his opening stretch since joining the Detroit Pistons. Tonight was one of his better games of the year, active defensively, active offensively. He had 12 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, 4 steals, and a block. He played amazing for the Pistons. And it has a lot to do with the fact the Pistons aren't just putting him in the corner anymore. They're letting him play freely in transition, letting him play off cuts to the rim, and putting him in the dunker spot and using him as a screener. If Hamidou Diallo was a few inches taller, he would be a power forward. He'd be a center. Like, that's basically what his skill set is. It's not one you just put in the corner. And I feel like they've kind of found a way to use him, and he's absolutely thriving. He's absolutely thriving in his role. And I feel like because of how well he's playing offensively and in that role, we're starting to see him be more attentive defensively. He's been much better defensively. I don't know if I would go out the way to say he's a good defender. I don't think he's been a plus defender. But before, he was playing very antsy with his hands. He was very, he let guys drive by because he kept trying to go for steals. I feel like he's been much more of an impact defender over the last 12 or so games. And look, he's played amazing. Over the last 13 games before tonight, he's averaging 12.4 points, 4.9 rebounds, 1.1 steals, while shooting, get this, 68.7% from the field. He's damn near shooting 70%. That's like DeAndre Jordan type of stuff with the Clippers. That's basically what he is, though. If you can be creative enough to use him as a screener, in the dunker spot, get him cut into the basket, get him only looks around the rim and easy looks where he could use his athleticism and finishing ability, you see what's happening. And I was very critical of Diallo earlier in the year. I think he deserved it. He wasn't playing well. I wasn't a fan of his in the offseason, but he's playing the best basketball since playing for the Pistons. I don't know about before with OKC, but since joining the Pistons, he's playing his best basketball. He's been amazing over the last 13, 14 games for the Pistons. So you absolutely love to see that. Love to see that. Jalen Duren. I feel like Jalen Duren has, I don't know. I feel like Jalen Duren somewhat like fallen to like the background a little bit, because already at 19, 18 years old, what he's doing is like, it's like Pistons fans just expect him to be doing what he's doing. Like when he comes out here and he has a double-double, when he comes out here and he has, 12 points, 11 rebounds, a few blocks, a few steals, a few assists, everyone's just like, oh, that's what Duren does. And I need everyone to understand that this is a 19-year-old rookie that people are feeling that way about. Like the fact that just a double-double is normal for Jalen Duren, the fact that we've become accustomed to him getting a double-double, the fact we've become accustomed to him having a few assists, hitting some backdoor passes, kicking out off offensive rebounds, the fact we've become accustomed to him making defensive plays around the rim, getting better in drop coverage, the fact that all that is happening, and I feel like it's becoming a little bit normalized. It's like taking it for granted. He's a 19-year-old rookie. He's the youngest player in the NBA. Before the year, you had people like myself who thought, oh, he's the youngest player in the NBA, front court's loaded. He might need to get some experience in the G League so he can catch up, and taste what it's like to be in the NBA. He's too young. Let him come along slowly. And now 40-odd some games into the year, it's become normal for us just to see him get a double-double and play this well. Look, I listened to, what was the podcast? It was one of those national podcasts, and oh my God, why am I forgetting who it was? I think it might have been Bill Simmons' podcast. I forget what it was, but they really went in on Jalen Duren and Jaden Ivey a few weeks ago. I think it was like 2 weeks ago. They went really in on both of them. And at the time, I said I could see what they were saying with Ivey, because Ivey had been inefficient. And they wanted to see a little bit more from him as a point guard. But even that was a little bit like, eh. But Duren, I couldn't believe that people were like down on Duren, or like trying to say that, oh, he hasn't impacted it like the way we thought he would. Like, have they not been watching the Pistons? Have they not watched the Pistons? Have they not watched Jalen Duren? Or are they just looking at his stats because he's averaging 8 and 8 instead of like 12 and 15 or something? Like, is that what it was? Like, I don't know how you can watch the Pistons and come away thinking that Jalen Duren hasn't been absolutely amazing for them. Over the last 14 games, not including tonight. By the way, tonight in this game, he had 17 points, 7 rebounds, 2 assists, a steal, and a block. 7 of 8 from the field. He doesn't miss shots. He makes his shots around the rim. You either fouling him or he's dunking the ball. But over the last 14 games, he's 11.1 points, 10.8 rebounds, 1.6 assists, and he's shooting 71% from the field. Again, Rudy Gobert, DeAndre Jordan type numbers efficiency-wise. If you get him the ball around the rim, he's finishing it. He's not going to try to do stuff he can't do. He's not going to go out there and try dribbling the ball and create for himself. You give him the ball in the dunker spot, he's dunking it. You give him a lob, he's dunking it. He gets an offensive rebound, he's dunking it. You give him a drop-off pass, he's dunking it. Like, it's just very simple with him. It's very efficient basketball, and he's averaging a double-double over the last 14 games. The dude's 19. This is not normal. He shouldn't be doing this. He's the youngest player in the league. It's crazy. It's amazing to see the Pistons. Before I go in with that, I know I'm kind of like all over the place with Duren right now, but it's just crazy what he's doing. He's by far, I think, either picking Cade number 1 or Jalen Duren is Weaver's best moves he's done. Because Duren was picked at 13, 4 or 12 or 13, whatever. for basically that 2025 Milwaukee Bucks first round pick that the Pistons got for Jeremy Grant. Which is, by the way, guys, why the Pistons need to get another first. We see what he's able to do with the 25 first round pick from a contender that's probably going to be in 28 to 30. You give Weaver some extra picks, he's able to do stuff with it. You need those picks. That's why they need to trade Bojan. Need to have that flexibility. Get him more picks, get him more assets in the draft. But anyways, that's how good Duren is. I think he's been by far either drafting Cade number one, because obviously Cade's the franchise guy, or getting Duren as a steal at 13, 12 or 13. I forget which one it was. That's a steal. And Duren's been everything you could have possibly asked for. Everything you could have possibly asked for. And specifically in this game against the Brooklyn Nets, Ivey and Duren were, I know Sadiq had 25 points allowed. That came in the third quarter. He just erupted. And I know Alec Burks had 20 on 9 shots, which, my God, so efficient. But I feel like most Pistons fans would agree that watched it. The leading forces of this victory for the Pistons was Jaden Ivey, their 5th overall pick in this past draft. How young he is, playing point guard, seeing him elevate and get better with that. Jalen Duren, their 13th pick, youngest player in the entire NBA, going up against, by the way, Nicholas Claxton is really damn good. I did not know he had developed that much offensively. That was not an easy matchup for Duren, and Duren did his thing, 17-7 against Nick Claxton. Nick Claxton had 27-13. He's legit. But again, Jaden Ivey led it. Jalen Duren led it. And the third player that had a big part in this too is Killian Hayes, who we want to talk about when we come back. Though the fact that I think that's what made this game so much fun to watch. I'm not gonna lie. And then we'll get to the ad break. I am running a little long with this segment, but this game wasn't a game that was won because Bojan popped off. Bojan was 4-15. Played a terrible game. Alec Burks played well. He had 20 points and 9 shots, just insane efficiency. But this game was won by the Pistons' young guys. This game was won by their young core. This game was won by Jaden Ivey. This game was won by Jalen Duren. This game was won from Sadiq Bey going nuclear in the third. This game was won by Killian Hayes having 16, 5, 3, and 3 off the bench. That's who this game was won by. Against the Brooklyn Nets, a team that has Kyrie Irving, who dropped 40 points on them. That's who won them this game. It wasn't the vets. It was the young core. And that's what made this game, I think, the best. What made it so much fun to watch, in my opinion. But anyways, when we come back, I want to talk about what we saw from Killian Hayes in this game, coming off the bench. Don't know if that's something we're going to continue to see. I don't think so. I think they were just doing it because his first game back. But we're going to talk about it nonetheless. But first, I got to tell you guys about one of our sponsors, our new sponsor. I'm sure you guys all know him, FanDuel Sportsbook. The NFL playoffs are here. We're really excited about our new sports betting partner for Locked On because they're the #1 sportsbook in America, FanDuel. And if you're new to FanDuel, that's even better. They have so many great features that make betting on sports fun and easy. New customers, join today to get started with $150 in free bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. To sign up at FanDuel.com/lockedon, FanDuel has all your favorite bets, from the money line to point spreads to player props. Plus, you can even combine your bets for a chance at a bigger payout with the same game parlay. And last time we talked about this, man, I told you guys the Cincinnati Bengals were favorites in this weekend's playoff game. I said, I don't know. I think you guys might want to take the Kansas City Chiefs as underdogs. Well, you waited too long if you waited till now, because now the Kansas City Chiefs are back to being favorites, -120 over at FanDuel. I think the Chiefs take that one. I would take money line Kansas City Chiefs at -120. But you can do all that on the app that's safe, secure, and super easy to use. So football fans, don't miss out. Place your first $5 bet to get $150 in free bets, win or lose, at FanDuel.com/lockedon. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NFL. So I want to thank you guys again for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We are free and available on all your podcast platforms. If you haven't already, head to the YouTube channel at Locked On Pistons, hit that subscribe button, or leave us a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you are listening to this on. That's another great way to support the podcast. They're just a fantastic team win. I'm going to say it again for the Pistons, man. This is a team effort from everyone. This Nets team was better than I thought. I know they're without KD, but Kyrie played I want to watch the Nets more because Kyrie was doing things I didn't think he could do. or did consistently or did really well. He was running the team really well. He was playing really hard defensively. Nicholas Claxton, I know he was having a good year, but I didn't know he had developed offensively like that. He was driving on guys, and those two guys really tried to get this win over the Pistons. And the Pistons young guys, not the vets. Alec Burks did play a good game, but let's ignore that for this narrative's sake. The young guys stepped up and delivered this win over the 29-19 Brooklyn Nets. And we already talked about Jaden Ivey. We talked about Jalen Duren. Sadiq Bey went nuclear in that third quarter. Real quick, this is all I want to say about Sadiq Bey. You saw in that third quarter the recipe for Sadiq Bey to be useful in the NBA. It is not his long, drawn-out ISOs. Anytime he takes more than 3 dribbles, the coaching staff to add a sprint in practice, and each time he does it, that's how many sprints he runs in practice. When he dribbles more than 3 times, it never looks good. He'll make every now and then, but most of the time, it's the reason why he's one of the least effective ISO players in the NBA. However, in that third quarter, all of it was catch and shoot threes, straight line drives. Catch and shoot 3, straight line drives. Catch and shoot 3, straight line drives. It's just keep it simple. Keep it easy for him. If he's able, and obviously this relies on him being able to hit his outside shot, which he was tonight. Just stay simple. Play with. I've said this so many times with Sadiq Bey. I said this 2 years ago, and fans were really mad because they were like, no, Sadiq Bey can be an 18-point-per-game scorer. He can be a hella scorer in the NBA. Why are you trying to limit him? And I've said this so many times. Sadiq Bey can be an 18-point-per-game scorer by just doing that stuff. He does not need the isolation game to be a high scorer. I don't know why people think that he needs that to be a high scorer. Just hit your threes. He's going to get up a lot of threes. He got 8 up tonight. Hit a good chunk of your threes. And when they close out, take him to the rim. Straight line drives. He's good at drawing free throws. If he doesn't finish, he'll draw a free throw and get to the free throw line. And he's able to get 25 points off of that. He wasn't getting 25 points off of ISOing guys and hitting sidestep threes and sidestep middies and Kobe Bryant fadeaways, even though he did hit one fadeaway tonight. That was pretty cool. That's not how he's going to be effective at this level. How he's going to be effective is by keeping the game simple, keeping the game easy for himself, hit his threes, straight line drive, resulted in 25 points for him tonight. All in one quarter. It was one quarter. That's how easy it is. It can be so easy for him. I don't get it. I don't get it. Hopefully we see it more often, but Sadiq's been very much so a roller coaster this season. So I just hope that someone on the coaching staff is trying to get this across to him. I really hope that they start to, and I think Sadiq would benefit the most from this if they started to take away some dudes' freedoms and just put them in a role and let them know what they can and shouldn't be doing offensively. I really feel like Sadiq would benefit the absolute most of any player on the team if they said, Sadiq, we don't want you ISOing. We don't want you going out there doing long, drawn-out ISOs. We want you to hit threes and go straight to the basket if it's not there. That's what we want you to do. I feel like he would benefit so much from that. So much. I don't think it's going to happen, though. To end the podcast, like I said, I want to talk about Killian Hayes a little bit. I did save him for the end of the podcast because some of the other guys deserve to be talked about. And I know there's a section. Some of you guys love hearing me talk about Killian Hayes, but there's a section of you guys that just really are done hearing about Killian Hayes. Because you guys just hate him. You guys are haters. But anyways, Killian Hayes came off the bench tonight. He played 25 minutes. If he played more minutes, he would have had a 20-plus point game. Another one of those games, I feel like if he just played more minutes, he would have such a better stat line. But I think this was done because it's his first game back, like they did with Jalen Duren last game. But in his first game back, he had 16 points, 6 of 12 shooting, 2 of 5 from deep, 2 of 3 from the free throw line. He had 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals. I thought he played a really, really good game off the bench. I'm not going to lie, the opening minutes of him coming off the bench with that bench lamp looked really bad. And I thought, oh no, this bench lamp's not going to work. This is not going to go well. But after 2 minutes, they called a timeout, and they absolutely flipped the script, and they all played extremely well the rest of the game, including Killian Hayes. And all I want to say about Killian is this. For those of you guys who listen out and wonder, Koo, why are you so high in Killian? Koo, why do you have such a high ceiling for Killian? Why do you think he can reach that high ceiling? Go watch the fourth quarter. That's why I believe in Killian Hayes' ceiling, because of his shot creation and his ability to create separation with his handle and hit a pull-up jumper. That's why he's not excellent at it yet. He's a little bit inconsistent with it right now on his shot creation and separation and being able to hit off the separation. but he absolutely has a bag when it comes to creating off the dribble and creating separation. He's gone a little bit away from his step back three that he loves so much coming into the league, but you're seeing him cross up dudes, gain space for pull-ups. That kind of stuff is lethal and stuff that you really want to have in a guy's bag. And I believe in it wholeheartedly. So I believe if he can add finishing, you're dealing with a really good player. But in that fourth quarter, man, he hit a few shots, a few self-created shots by off the dribble, a few yank backs, sauced Nicholas Claxton up. I love Killian Hayes, man. I think he's going to be a really good player, and he played really well tonight off the bench for him. Really well. And I thought that he handled it well. I was a little bit worried about, he's been starting all this time. Now he's coming off the bench this one game. Is he going to throw off his rhythm? Is he going to come out with lack of energy, et cetera, et cetera? Is he going to be mad that he's off the bench, whatever? But he came out and he played really well tonight. So happy to see that. And all of you guys, look, and this last thing I'll say, all of you guys who burned him and just tried to bury him because of one bad game in Paris. Forget the fact that he had been like this for the last 2 to 3 months. What you saw tonight in Brooklyn is what he's been for the past 2 to 3 months. He had one bad game in Paris in front of his home country, and literally it felt like everyone just wanted to bury him and destroy him, act like it's over. He sucks, and just ignore the fact that we just seen the best 3 months of his career, and he had been playing really well. It's just messed up, man. But he played really well. But so did everybody, man. Everyone played well. Sadiq, Duren, Ivey, Burks. Livers only had 2 points, but I thought he played really well defensively. Hustled on a lot of loose balls. Isaiah Stewart played well. 11 points, 5 rebounds off the bench. We already talked about Diallo and then Killian Hayes. This was just a complete team win from the Pistons. They desperately needed this type of win, this type of effort after what had happened over the last 2 games. They did catch the Brooklyn Nets on a little bit of a back-to-back after playing Philly the night before without KD, so they got a little lucky. But this team needs luck. This team needs anything they can get, and they absolutely deserved this win. They took it from the Nets. They wanted it more, and love seeing it, man. The Pistons moved to 13-37. Actually, before we end the podcast real quick, I am running a little bit long. My guys are going to kill me. But let me just I just want to do a sim of the Tankathon. We'll end it there. So the Pistons hit the second odds. Let's click sim. Pistons stay at 2. I'm cool with that. The Hornets jump to 1. Okay, I'll take it. Pistons stay at 2. As long as we don't fall. That's cool. All right, wrap up the podcast there. I'll see you guys later, man. Love this game. I hope you guys enjoyed watching it too. Thank you guys for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. Free and available on all your podcast platforms. Hit that subscribe button to the YouTube channel. Leave a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you are listening to this on. And until next time, I will see you guys later. Stay safe. Go Pistons. And until next time, peace out.